On this week's show, let's all rise up against the Empire. Will Infinity ever become like Amiibo? And new Power Disc. All this and more on episode 92 of the Inside Infinity podcast.
What's up, guys? This is John Vignacchi, executive producer on Disney Infinity, and you are listening to Inside Infinity, the first official Disney Infinity podcast on the net.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Inside Infinity number 92, episode 92, recorded June 8th, 2015. Jason and I are here with you once again for another podcast, back on our regularly scheduled day, not a regularly scheduled time, but you know what, that's the way we roll on this podcast. And we got a couple comedians in the chat room today. We have Infinity Guru there giving us giving us a hard time. Mad88 is making sure we're on track. Kingdom Keeping Parker, the Pirate Steven, who will be joining us on the roundtable shortly. Romulus, welcome back. You're still 10 minutes early, my friend. Cimmerian, how's it going? Sonic Photo, Taylor Lynn, the Baroness, welcome. Tyrell and Wildlife. There might be more, but that's all I can see in our chat. So I'd like to welcome everyone who's joining us for the live chat. We appreciate you having us here with you today. Something like that. If you want to watch us live, you can do that each and every Monday evening, 8 p.m. Mountain Time. Just head over to twitch.tv/Disney Infinity TV. You can watch us live. You can chat with us and do what the rest of the group does, make fun of us. Hey, I see JB in the chat as well. Sure, we'll be getting some digs from him in a bit. Before we get started, Jason wanted say that this podcast and every Inside Infinity podcast is brought to you in partnership with the Disney Infinity Fans Forum. Disney Infinity Fans is your #1 forum for all things Disney Infinity. It's a great group over there with lots of community, discussions, rumors, news, toy box building tips. It just runs the gamut, so it's a great community. If you like Disney Infinity, you should check out the forums because you're going to like them too. So head on over to DisneyInfinityFans.com. With that, Jason, we got lots of news to talk about this week. What do you say we get things started?
Okay.
Great.
Did you introduce me? Because I don't think you did. But that's all right.
You know what? I didn't. And it was actually, I didn't forget about you, but I said Jason and I are here today. But who are you, Jason? Welcome back to another Inside Infinity podcast. Who are you and what do you do?
Too late.
It's too late.
I just co-host. Just get on with the news.
See, now you're throwing me off my game. All right, the first news item of the day. Let me bring it up on screen. First up, Jason, we have some new information from the Rise Against the Empire playset. So a press release was dropped this week along with some info that we're going to talk about here in a bit with the Toy Box TV Live. Sheriff Woody over at the Disney Infinity Fans posted some videos, and we got some screenshots, some high-quality screenshots of the figures. Jason, I know you watched a lot of the live stream this week. What did you think about the news that came out in the press release?
It's good. It's all very, very good. Like I say, the more I see of these play sets, I just can't believe it's the same game, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's like there just seems to be such a jump in quality in everything, you know, compared to 2.0. So,
yeah.
Or should I say more so, it feels like a return to form from 1.0 with all the advancements of 2.0. That's what it feels like based on what I've seen.
You know what? That's exactly the way I feel about it. And I think for me personally, a big part of that is Studio Gobo is at the helm of this playset. And that to me is something that's really exciting because Pirates is still one of my favorite playsets. They did an all right job with Guardians. But
Guardians, yeah.
Yeah, I really think like some of the things we're going to discuss about the live stream with the AT-ATs, you know, it's just like, it looks cool and it looks fun. It was kind of interesting. We did not get a trailer for this playset, and up to this point, any playset press release we've gotten, we've not only gotten these press images that we're showing here. By the way, this is coming at you from InfinityInquirer.com. Jason over there at Infinity Inquirer posted this info up. But we didn't get a trailer this week, Jason, which I was kind of bummed about because you and I, we love our trailer breakdowns.
Yeah, and I feel like I want a trailer with this one, to be honest, because I haven't. I don't. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think we've seen any example of what Luke Skywalker sounds like.
Yeah.
Or what Darth Vader sounds like necessarily. Like I don't, Han Solo, these iconic characters. I kind of want to see and hear what the cutscenes are like in these playsets. In this playset particularly.
I agree. One thing
because the first one was very true to form. It felt exactly like the Clone Wars TV series. So yeah, I want to give me the overall tone of this other playset.
And one thing that really kind of stands out to me that I think only something like a trailer would really convey is right now we're getting these really high quality images, but the lighting and the graphics look so good to me. And I do believe that this is in-game play. I think it's doctored a little bit with the motion blur effects on the snow speeders here.
I think that's completely press shot stuff. That's not in-game, I guarantee.
You don't think so?
Nah, that's press magic.
All right, look at this one right here. Like, that looks in-game. You don't think? You think this is...
No.
Oh,
no, that's a heavily doctored press shot. But this why would they... I don't know.
This looks just like the environment from the Toy Box TV Live.
Yeah, oh yeah, like it's definitely heavily inspired, and I'm sure it's close to, but like that's definitely not. I don't feel like that's the in-game models. I think that's the higher resolution PR shot models.
All right,
fine. Burnt by before.
Fine. Rain on my parade. You're actually probably all right because they're.
But it doesn't matter. I mean, their goal is to give you the overall. I mean, the colors and all that. I mean, it's portraying the overall feel of the playset well. I'm just saying, as far as its actual graphical fidelity and lighting and all that sort of stuff, that's clearly doctored.
Well, and I mean, we do know that they are. I don't know. The leaps of graphical prowess is not going to be that big from each iteration. A, it's all built on the same engine, and B, there's still the cross-platform compatibility, not between current gen, but current and past gen and mobile and stuff like that.
But at least it's interesting. What's the word? At least it's interesting terrain. Like, remember all the other play sets we had, short of Guardians, was literally textured cubes. I mean, it was a city, like the most uninteresting terrain ever. Like,
it's true.
It's hard to do too much with a four-sided flat skyscraper surface. You know what I mean? That's inherently going to look not boring, but not interesting by any means. So everything that I've seen so far out of the Star Wars playsets at least is varied and interesting and more and seemingly more open. Oh, we've got a follower.
Yeah, thanks, Alan. Thanks for that follow. Yeah, totally agree with you. I mean, if you look at this, like, okay, you're right. It's probably doctored, but I think it is indicative of what we are going to get. And like you said, that is varied. I mean, in these press shots, excluding the interior and the space shots, we have Hoth, which is obviously very specific. We have Endor, which looks pretty phenomenal and very, very different. And then we have Tatooine here as well. So getting robust. And we do know there's going to be multiple planets. Obviously, we're seeing them here. But I'm interested to see what other planets we're going to be seeing. That's a great point, actually, Jason.
It's going to be so varied. It's so exciting.
Yeah. Yep.
Hopefully we get all those texture discs in the power discs, or at least in the game, because that's just, I mean, what an amazing array of locations that you'll be able to use for our wonderful, wonderful toy boxes.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. Well, we can talk about this because it's not a competitor of ours. No, I'm just kidding. We talk about anything and everything. It doesn't matter if they do something similar to us. But Game Informer, the month of May, has wrapped up, and therefore the Game Informer Disney Infinity coverage has also wrapped up, and they capped off the month and the coverage with a special edition Game Informer podcast where they answered a lot of fan questions. And you know what, a lot of it we know already. We have been even talking about it a lot on the show, but I think that these are probably questions that maybe people who don't follow the community as much, or they've just kind of gotten the big ticket item bullet points may have come up with. So what we are going to do, though, is go over a few of the specific ones here. And so this article is coming at you from DizKingdom.com. And they did a recap, like they do every week, of the Toy Box TV Live of the podcast. And it's a great listen. It has JV in there, and JV does what JV does, and his personality really comes out into the audio, and it was great. A couple pieces that I really kind of wanted to highlight, Jason, and get your feedback on is I found it really interesting. They asked about the amount of playsets that are coming out, and they asked specifically about the Marvel playset. JV said, I can confirm that there's a Marvel playset. I cannot legally say anything else. So I found that really kind of odd and interesting. And, from what we've seen so far, people are speculating that it's Age of Ultron stuff. But I almost wonder if there's something else going on here for the legal aspect of not being able to talk about it. What do you think about that?
It is a strange comment, isn't it? Legally not allowed to speak about it. Like, why wouldn't you just say more to say on that later?
Right.
It's like, yes, I don't know. It's hard to read into that too much, but you're right. There could be possibly inclusion of characters that are, on the fringe of Disney ownership. Who knows?
Yep, totally. Yeah. I don't know. It could be nothing, but like you said, it could be something.
I mean, personally, we know we're getting the Age of Ultron figure, so it'd be weird if it's not Age of Ultron focused, but at the same time, that will be coming well after the film's release. So unless it coincides with maybe a DVD release or Blu-ray release of the film, that's a potential too, I suppose.
Totally. That would make a lot of sense, actually. And in fact, I almost bet I put my money on that. Another interesting tidbit that came out, Jason, is the question about difficulty levels. And JV said that there's a variety of difficulty levels to kind of be attractive to all skill levels out there. And he said if you are a gamer or you are familiar with Disney Infinity, to crank it up to high, because the difficulty level will dictate the amount of sparks you get. So the higher the difficulty, the higher the sparks. And so that's kind of a insider tip right there. Just like last time, all 1.0 and 2.0 toys can be unlocked by placing down the playset pieces from those games. So that's cool. Good to hear.
It is very good.
Not a surprise, but it's good that it was confirmed. I dug that. Did you like that? I mean,
I loved it, because otherwise, what were you going to do? Like,
right?
You can't. It's silly to expect people to boot up a last gen version of 1.0 just to be able to unlock toys in their 3.0 game.
Yep.
A bit silly.
Yep, absolutely. Elmo is bringing up, don't forget that Marvel characters will be playable in the new playset. Yep, I think we mentioned that last time, Elmo, but that is something good to point out additionally. And then the last thing I wanted to bring up, Jason, and it was in our lead-in for the show. Normally, we don't talk too much about Amiibo on this show, but I thought this was something that was really, really cool. The question came up, basically, it was like, will Disney Infinity ever go the way of Amiibos? And what they meant by that is, will the supply ever, for figures specifically, ever outweigh demand? And JV said, not if they can help it, essentially. He gave a really good answer where he said doing that is just straight disrespectful to the fan base, to the consumer, to new and old players alike, and that's something that they will never intentionally do. Which that was amazing. I loved his candidness in it. I loved his no pulling punches. Discussing a competitor, and I just thought it was really cool. What do you think, Jason?
Well, I know he says that. I know what he said, and that's good to hear. But what I would prefer to hear is, instead of "we would never intentionally do that," I would like to hear him say, "We have a plan in place if such shortages happens," because living in a country where we did have a shortage of figures, like Baymax was unachievable in this country. Like, if you didn't pick up Baymax within the first week or so, it just was not here. And as far as I know, quote unquote, I don't know the details, but I have not seen it since. There was also a shortage. Wasn't there a shortage of Anna and Elsa in the States, I believe? It was hard to get that. But the point is, these figures had some shortages, and I think that the competition, the amount of demand there's going to be for these Star Wars figures, I believe, is going to be at minimum twofold over what a standard Disney Infinity figure was. And so the question is, what plans do they have in place if a shortage does arise? How quickly can they get those figures back onto shelves? Because I don't think you can underestimate how popular these figures are going to be. Even if I anticipate it could be as much as every second person maybe buying them without any interest in the game at all.
That's a great point, Jason, and it's forgive me, but it is something I forget being in the States, is that it's something that you've had to deal with. People in the UK and elsewhere has really kind of struggled with, and they haven't always done a good job of that. I mean, look at the Power Disc. That's another area where supply hasn't always been. None of the exclusives, or some of the exclusives, but not many of them. So yeah, that's a great point. I mean, I don't think
plus, I hate to bring it up, there's also the Black Suit Spider-Man, which was not released in this country either. So, that's a pretty extensive shortage of a figure, with no plans that we've heard of to release that separate to the Vita platform. So, and again, it's nothing. It's great that they're not obviously targeting to create that situation, but I would hope that they have a plan up their sleeves that if a runaway figure does just become intensely popular, like I somewhat suspect that Princess Leia figure is going to be, I don't know. I just can't see these figures not having shortages at some point, unless they are so massively over, budgeting for the amount of figures that they're creating. So we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, that's great concern. Romulus is saying it's probably going to help that they're spacing out the Star Wars playset, so there just won't be a gluttony of characters all at one time. Because it's like anything, right? They have to manufacture these figures, and that takes time. So
yeah, that's right. You don't want to get stuck with millions of this figure that no one wants. That's I'm sure there's a real science to it, and I guess that's where the pre-order data will help somewhat. But
Evil Us is saying he does not expect Star Wars shortages, and you know what? He's a good person to ask about this. So he is in the know when it comes to figures. So let's go with that. So. Yeah, we'll wait and see, but for now, let's take Chris's word on it. Cool, Jason. Well, we got a few more Power Disc again, which is really exciting. I'm going to bring up another article by InfinityInquirer.com.
Actually, just while you're doing that, I just wanted to add at the end of that, I just remembered it's important to mention, as you said, the Game Informer content is wrapped up. And I think as a community, I think we can, definitely say that we all really loved that content that they produced. We loved that, particularly us, love that behind-the-scenes content. And JV did drop the idea, or someone in our community dropped the idea to JV, which he seemed to like, about the idea of producing an art book for Disney Infinity. And I, for one, think it's great, and I think everyone who thinks that great should be tweeting at JV about that.
Yeah.
and letting him know because I spoke on a previous show about how I'd love to see a more in-depth documentary style thing created.
Hmm.
That's probably not a reality, but an art book is just as good a place, if not better, a place where allowing the artists who have created this great, transformation of these characters into Infinity
Yeah.
form to express the reasoning behind. And I would love, love, love to have that book. So
Absolutely.
please, anyone who's listening to this, tweet at JB and say we want an art book.
Yeah, Lim, aka Bad Gamer Official, part of the team. He says he agrees in the chat, Jason, but he also tweeted out kind of an initiative for that last week as well. Something
Yeah,
that he
we
would really
totally
want.
need it, and it's a great place. And hopefully, if it does come to pass, we can have a collaborative effort. I mean, what a great place for Evilos to put some of his
Hmm.
customs. What a great place for Dan Power to put some of his custom work. I've done photography, and Bad Gamer's done photography. It's a great platform that has inspired a lot of great fan art, and of course, we all saw in the background that amazing art that was on the walls
Yeah,
in the documentaries from Game Informer, and it just seems criminal not to make that into a book and share it. Otherwise, it's just going to be a waste and sit there collecting dust. And what an amazing Disney book, just as fans, to be able
yeah,
to have something that spans from right through Marvel, Star Wars, Pixar, and normal Disney. Like, amazing book. I just wanted to
absolutely.
touch on that. Please, let's not forget that and keep the finger on the pulse and hope that a publisher comes forth interested in producing that book.
I'm gonna be looking out for that petition, Jason.
You may move on.
Awesome. All right. Well, the other piece of kind of cool news we got this week is 8 new Power Disc, and they discussed this on the live stream. And so we got some really cool stuff. We have General Grievous Real Wheel Bike, which is going to be a toy. We have Forest of Felucia Terrain, which I'm assuming that's what that is. We have the Skies over Felucia. We have the Galactic Team Up Disc of Mace Windu. I don't know, Jason. What do you think? Do you think we're gonna get a Mace Windu figure?
That's a really tough question. I know Mace Windu is popular because he was sort of the most, I guess, one of the foremost Jedis in the prequels, but you'd have to say, based on the Clone Wars, and I'm not sure how much of the Clone Wars you've seen, but he really was just another one of the guys in
Mm-hmm.
the Clone Wars. Like, I think some of the other Jedis were as interesting, if not more interesting, than Mace Windu based on the Clone Wars series, and so it's a really tough. We're certainly not going to get them all,
Yeah,
um, and got so much Samuel L. Jackson representation so far in Disney Infinity anyway that I don't know. But me personally, if you're asking me personally, I'm happy with him as a team up.
okay. Cool. Cool, cool. Yeah, I was just wanted your thoughts. I was curious to hear what you thought about it.
What's that pack called, by the way, again?
Which pack?
The four pack. What's the title of the four pack? Because you know how like the Tomorrowland had
Oh,
it was called the Tomorrowland.
Twilight of the Republic Power Disc pack.
Now that's interesting.
So, well, no, not really, because it is all
Yeah,
items.
but do you think that means that there's going to be multiple Twilight of the Republic four packs, or it's just that specific one's called Twilight? If you know what I mean, or if
Well,
each four pack's going to have a different thing, or it's just saying no, this is a
oh, I
this is a
see.
four pack that's compatible or designed to be used with the Twilight
In-
playset. You know what I mean?
Interesting. Yeah, because that's really interesting. You know what's
Because
also
yeah,
kind of
otherwise,
weird?
because it seems like we've clearly got to get more texture discs than that.
Well, you know what's also kind of weird about this, Jason, is that these are things that would traditionally be, not all of them, but like the terrain and sky. Well, no, not really, because I started to say that these are things that would traditionally be unlocked through the playset, but that's not true. We have View from the Suit, which is Iron Man. We have Nowhere, which is Guardians. We have the Groot train and power disc. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know if this is going to be all from each one of these or what. That's a great
It's just
question.
interesting that it's labeled the same name as the
playset.
the play set. I think that's interesting.
Yeah,
Don't
yeah.
know what that means. Because all the other power discs, we'll find out in a minute because I can't remember. But are any of the other power discs from the Twilight, or are they
Nope, they're
all
Rise Against the Empire. So
Rise Against the Empire discs?
yeah.
Interesting. That
So
vehicle looks really cool, by the way. I can't remember where I saw it, but it looks cool.
this one,
The General Grievous's
yeah,
bike.
yeah, the wheel bike. Yeah, that's this one. Yeah, I think we've seen it before somehow. I'm trying to remember when, if it was in a trailer or what.
Oh, so the next four are part of the Rise Against the Empire. So again, it's a four
Hmm.
pack that's labeled the same name as the playset.
Yep.
Very interesting.
Yeah, exactly. So, but we do know that. Well, I guess we don't know, but I'm assuming there's no Tomorrowland playset. So it sounds like these packs are going to be a combination of playset packs and other
Toy box
properties.
only pack, so to
Yeah.
speak.
So here we have Princess Leia Bouche disguise. I don't know if that's how you say that. Forgive me if it's wrong. We have the Luke Rebel Alliance flight suit. I think this is pretty cool. So these are two costume change disc. You know how I feel about my costume change disc. Next up, we have a Y-wing. How cool is that?
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Well, what do you think? So it's showing you what Y-wing looks like, but I'm assuming it's going to be a modified toy version of that. What do you think?
Oh yeah, for sure. Like
Yeah.
they've nailed the toy look. Like I think that my fears are at rest with that particular, situation.
Hmm.
It's really interesting. I can't get past it, like because if like we're probably going to get, we know we're going to get Disney Originals discs. We're probably going to get more Marvel discs.
Hmm.
So I wonder if that's going to take away from the overall number of Star Wars discs we get.
Great question. I mean, if we did the math, so each one of these play sets are getting 4. So we know of at least, what, 5 play sets right now?
That's a good
So
point.
so that's
What's
20.
that? I can't do maths.
So that would be 20 disc. And I don't think we have. We know how many total figures there's going to be, but we don't know how many figure or total power discs there are going to be. So
No.
so more or less, can we assume that there's going to, we know of at least 20 power discs? Not know of them, but know what they're going to be from.
Yeah.
Throw on top of that Tomorrowland, which was what I think, was that 4 or 5? I want to say that was 5, but maybe not.
Yeah, I don't know. But it's interesting. Anyway, so maybe we are only going to get four power discs for that
Yeah,
playset. I mean, obviously they're all going to cross over,
right.
but yeah, interesting.
Very. And then the last one here, Jason, is a fan favorite. We got Boba Fett's Slave One, which is just awesome. We also saw in actually, let me see if I can bring that up. If you look really closely, well, we've seen a picture of Boba Fett, who could either be a townsperson or a figure. He kind of has that look to him. So who knows if he's going to be a character in the game as like a quest giver, or if he is going to be a released figure with this.
There is no way Boba Fett is not a figure. I wouldn't be too surprised if he's announced at E3, to be honest.
Yeah.
There's zero way. If you think Star Wars, he is like top of the list
Mhm.
of like iconic characters that like everyone has just like all the like as soon as the new films were talked about, people were already wanting or at
Yeah.
least expecting rumors that there'd be a film completely based on Boba Fett.
Hmm.
He will be a figure. Fear not.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Good. I like it.
That that's my prediction. Like, and I would be. I think he'll be announced sooner rather than later because it's almost sounds stupid when people say, "Oh, maybe he'll be a figure one day." It's like, you know what I mean? Like some
Yeah.
things are just
Yeah.
no-brainers.
No, I agree.
That is the
That's a good
biggest
point.
no-brainer ever, and I think they'll sound stupider and stupider every time I go. Possibilities are infinite. No, it is a figure.
And Pirate Stephen Bear shut his mouth. He's saying D23 exclusive Boba Fett. That
Don't
would
you
cause
dare,
riots.
Stephen. Don't you dare.
Sarvinator is saying they like the E3 prediction, Jason. So you have
Yeah.
support out there in internet land.
I think if you want to make a big splash, I think you announce Boba Fett at E3.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
I like that prediction. Let's go with that. Awesome, my friend. Well, last thing to kind of wrap up the news for the week is another recap. This recap once again is brought to you by DizKingdom.com. And we got a lot of info once again. Well, not once again. We don't always get a lot of info, and so it's really good when we do get that info. Sorry,
we don't always get a lot of info about the game.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
There's
We always
quite often a lot of info.
Right.
It's just not about the game.
Is it quality info? Sorry, everyone. I'm just changing up the shot here. All right, here we go. We're not going to go over everything because it was a long list, and there was some superfluous stuff again. Talked about E3 plans, but the big meat of this live stream was showing off the Rise of the Empire playset. Talked about how Studio Gobo worked on this. They showed off AT-AT play. And Jason, you and I talked about this from the very first time we talked about Star Wars and Infinity for 3.0. Since the announcement and that's kind of the ways in which you can take down these AT-ATs. One way is take down the part of a leg, the armor, and it reveals bars that you can climb up, and then you can find a battery and remove it. Totally bringing in that toy play.
Yeah.
I think that's really cool. You can also wrap it up like traditional. Here we see that. Wrap it up with Snowspeeder, and then you can also eject the pilot and control the thing. And the cool thing about the AT-ATs is that their animations are procedurally generated, and so they will not fall, or procedural physics, they will not fall the same way every time. And the ATSTs are the same way. Jason, I know this is something you love, the toy aspects of these games. What do you think about these couple things?
Just brilliant. And again, like you can get this sense of, I say, when we talked about the trailer, we haven't seen a real strong case for a narrative, how the narrative works as far as this playset's concerned.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to just playing around, like arguably, I don't think I've seen anything better. Like that whole AT-AT versus mode where you can basically, two people get on top of an AT-AT and fight each other. Like that is classic
this right here.
Toy box gameplay. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's just incredible. So super happy to see it, and it looks fun. And they just could have gone such a lazy route. It's so cool that they took their time to make the AT-ATs be able to turn.
Yep.
And go to that extra length. And as a result, it feels completely fresh.
Totally. Romulus is saying that the toy aspect was sorely missing in 2.0, and could not agree more. We talked about that a lot. And like you said, they could have gone the easy way out, but they absolutely did not. They even have the stupid screws here. And these kind of like play school buttons here, these big colorful buttons.
Yeah, it's so good.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yep. Really awesome. I love that it's just adding such variety to the gameplay. I mean, we're seeing 3 ways of accomplishing the same thing, and I assume you're not going to just be battling one AT-AT, and so that's really cool.
Yeah.
So since it was widely requested by all the fans, it was confirmed that Jar Jar Binks is going to be a part of the Rise Against the Empire playset.
Why wouldn't he?
I don't know if that was a joke or if it was misplaced, but it seems like he would be a part of the Twilight of the Republic, in my opinion, versus Rise. But why would he be in it anyway? You talked about the sumo challenge, which is what this is, Jason, and this is once again really disappointing to me because I don't really have the opportunity to play couch co-op. I only have online co-op, and this is not going to be possible. So you and I, unless we share play, are never going to have the opportunity to sumo AT-ATs with each other.
I really think they need to fix that for 4.0. I really do think that's such a... It doesn't even make sense, does it? Mm-mm. It's such a strange decision. Like, it doesn't seem like that would be something... I mean, clearly it is hard, otherwise they'd put it in. But I'd like to know what the technical reason is that they can't get online playset co-op.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make sense. But, yeah, as you said, like, at the end of the day, it's... at least it's this mode. I mean, it just screams that classic. I'm on my, I'm with my brother playing Star Wars on the round room floor with our AT-AT toys. You know what I mean? Like
Totally.
it works well for couch co-op, but yeah, online would be nice too.
Yeah. Yeah, kind of along the lines of placing the toys down and playing them. The AT-ATs are looking at bringing them into the toy box, but because of their procedural physics, they're not sure if that's going to make it in the game. If I was a bet man, I think it's just going to be a set piece, sadly.
I agree.
But we'll see about that. Some other things. There's going to be both original and official soundtrack music, which is really kind of cool. We mentioned it last week. No more blind power disc, but what JV did say is that there's some new special power disc that can only be obtained by doing some pretty special feats.
Scares me.
Scares me.
One of those feats is have 100 episodes of a podcast. That scares me.
Oh my god, that's amazing, Jason. One for us and all of our listeners. Yeah, only if that's the case. Now I'm worried. I don't like the term feat. I don't. That scares me. I mean, it's bad enough if it's going to be tied to an exclusive park or attraction experience, and that includes like the cruise ship. But I wonder what this feat means. I don't.
Yeah, and you got to question, like, the hope is that, well, I think a best case scenario is that it's one disc,
Yeah.
but that can be achieved by multiple feats rather than individual discs that are awarded for individual feats.
I like that. That would ease that pain a little bit.
But I mean, it sounds ironic because it's something I've been asking for since like day one. It's like there really should be something given unique to people who win the top 5 or whatever it is. Like, there should be some, award that you can show off in your toy box that you've achieved something special.
Yeah, agreed. That would be something kind of cool, and that would definitely play into that feat verbiage.
Like
too.
for us, maybe multiple mentions in the honorable mention section of the top 5.
Please.
I could just keep giving them all day. That's all right. But we'll see.
We'll see.
Obviously, it's the more devastating as the cooler the disc is, too.
Right. It's going to be something special.
Yeah. So we'll see.
Cool. 3 more things, Jason. Next week, they're finally going to show off a little bit of the toy box. We've seen very little toy box play up to this point. So that's something that I know a lot of our friends and listeners and viewers are really going to be excited about, because that's something that's been sorely missing up to this point. And let's be honest, that still is the thing that they love saying, that the toy box is what gives the game legs. And so it's going to be extremely supported, and they've kind of been, I would imagine, waiting to show that off.
Yes.
Second to last, Jason, is I know you wanted to talk a little bit about this Maker Studio kind of partnership. They're going to be starting a segment called First Play, where they give YouTube celebrities first play opportunities with the game, and they can then review it on video. What are your thoughts on this?
I think it's good. I don't know. It's a question of how it's going to be done and what they're actually doing with it. My concern is, excuse me, that like these guys like PewDiePie and stuff like that have millions of subscribers on YouTube and so on. And they're clearly good at what they do. The thing is that though they've built that audience up because who they are as celebrities, not because of the games that they play. And in the past, like we've had a deal with PewDiePie in the past where he's played some toy box stuff, and he doesn't exactly demo the real strengths of what the video game is. In saying that, though, the fact is you put money into these people and they are going to get your game in front of millions of eyes, which can have a flow-on effect that hopefully will inspire some percentage of that audience to say, hey, this Disney Infinity game actually looks really good. I wonder if I can find some other people online who actually are good at playing the game.
Yeah.
versus just being idiots with the game. So, not that that's exactly what they do, but you know what I mean. Like, he's
Right.
not. I can't see PewDiePie creating content for a top five each week.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Hmm.
that's not their business model. That's not what they do. And I don't think that Disney Infinity at the moment doesn't have. It's not that it doesn't have a Twitch audience. It's just that it's not. It's such a weird Frankenstein of a game that it's very hard to like focus. You can't like Minecraft's singular focus. You can just play it and like that's watchable. Whereas
Right.
Disney Infinity can range from playing a really fun play set, like some other YouTubers do, like Mighty Gitus does
Right.
every week, and that's fun to watch, or it could be totally boring watching me hook up Logic Gates. So,
Right.
it's
Yeah.
it's very interesting.
The chat they're making some good comments. Samirian says, where are they going to find people like that? I think that's a wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Ramius is saying good exposure, not necessarily good advertising. And Evilos is saying it's clever marketing. And Jason, you hit the nail on the head. It's not for us. It's not for the people that are tuning into the show. It's for the millions of people that may not be. Primarily, I mean, I'm sure the viewers
No.
of our show
and
that
look,
also...
it does sting when they say YouTubers and like, we're YouTubers, Rob from CoinOps YouTubers. There's plenty of us out there that are regularly supporting Disney Infinity. But at the same time, I think that's what the summit's for, is sort of our time for them to be able to help us
Right.
out. I said to you before the show what I would have liked to have seen, because I agree it's great marketing, but I think what would have been even more interesting is for them to put those big time players in touch with other experienced Disney Infinity players, let them help
Right.
bring the demonstration of how good the game is by creating great content alongside with them, if you know what I mean.
Totally.
If they want to hook up a meeting with you and I and PewDiePie, we could help him to explain to him the nuances of the game and
Right.
maybe help him out to create content that's interesting. And that combination would be, in my opinion, an equally better promotion of the game.
Right.
You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
well,
Because
and-
the toy box really is so unique, and it's just not being demonstrated. And I don't think that's going to come with what they're doing here. And that may not be their goal. I'm sure it's going to be mostly playset play.
Yeah.
And we don't know if it's an extended deal. Like, are they saying, can you play this for the next month of release? Or is it just a one and done? We just want you to create some video content. We want your face to make a funny video that we can post. We don't know. We'll find out.
We will find out. We will find out. And we will see what the long-term effects of that partnership is. You know what? The Baroness made a funny comment. I got all excited when they said, here's a special announcement you're all going to love. And then he says, how does 4 YouTube celebs playing 3.0 make me happy? I agree. I was very disappointed in this announcement, not because it was the YouTube thing, but I was disappointed because I thought it was this next piece of news. And that's not happening until this week's Toy Box TV Live. So friend of the show, Evil Loss, is going to be a guest on next week's show. So he's in the chat right now. We want to wish him luck. We are trying to work out an episode where we can get Chris on our show as well. We've been in talks for a couple weeks now. So hopefully you won't, become too big of a star and forget about us little people.
Has
there,
he not
Evil
been on it?
Loss.
I feel like he's been on our show before. He's never been on in 100 episodes.
That's just because you used to always see his figures at the start of it. No,
Weird.
not yet, but he's going to. So yeah, that was the other kind of last piece of news for the week. Is Evil Loss is going to be on this week's show. Can't wait to see what you're bringing to us. I hope to see some custom Infinity figures. I have no idea what's going to be shown, but I know we're all going to be tuning in on Friday to find out. So good luck with that, Evil Loss. Awesome, buddy. Well, I think that's going to wrap up the show. It was a little longer than we wanted, so let's go ahead and end things here. We're going to roll right into the roundtable in just a moment. So I'd like to thank everyone who joined us on this week's show. Thanks, everyone who joined us in chat. It was a good conversation with lots of news, and the news is just going to keep on going. Jason, as always, my friend, I want to thank you for co-hosting this week's episode like you do every week, and I apologize for not properly introducing you earlier.
No, I honestly, I feel like I haven't been on in weeks for some reason. I don't know why.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way, even though I think it's just because we've been on odd times. But now we're back. We're back at our normal time,
Yeah.
except for possibly next week. And that is because next week is E3, and so we're going to be very dynamic with our content. I don't know if there's going to be an inclusion of Infinity with the Sony briefing next week, but that Sony briefing is happening when we normally do the show. So just stay tuned to our Twitter on what next week's show is going to be like. Yeah, we want to make sure that we're bringing you the proper coverage. Even if we have to record a few things here and there, we will do that. But definitely be on the lookout of our Twitter next week to see when we're going to do the show. And then after that, we'll for sure stick to our kind of scheduled program. Awesome, everyone. Well, thanks again, everyone in chat, for joining us tonight. We hope you enjoyed this week's show. Thanks, everyone who's watching us out there on internet land. And until next week, we hope your week is filled with infinite possibilities. We hope you enjoyed this week's episode of the Inside Infinity podcast. If you like what we do, please subscribe to us. Look for us on Twitter. Look for us YouTube, youtube.com/DisneyInfinityTV, twitch.tv/DisneyInfinityTV. Also, subscribe to our partner network, res.tv, if you like other video game related content. If you want to support us in other ways, you can become a patron of ours. We really appreciate all of our patrons. Just head over to patreon.com/DisneyInfinityTV. I'd like to say thanks to James and John for being patrons.